For your taqueria pork bowls, you're gonna need your pork, some corn, Monterey Jack cheese, some Southwest spice blend and chili powder, some mayonnaise, beef stock concentrate, sour cream, jasmine rice, a lime, jalapeno, and some cilantro. And then you need your friend's salt and pepper and some sort of cooking oil. The first step in your pork bowls is to go ahead and add 3/4 cup of water and your jasmine rice to a small saucepan that does have a lid that will fit it tightly. And we're just gonna add a little pinch of salt. And then just stir this all together and wait for it to come to a boil, and then put the lid on it and cover it tightly and turn the heat down. While my rice cooks, I'm washed and dried my produce. I'm gonna go ahead and start by just quartering my lime. Setting that aside. And then we are gonna go ahead and mince up this jalapeno. So please remember, if you are not wearing gloves when you are working with jalapenos, to wash your hands really, really well after touching them with bare hands, because the stuff that causes the heat, the capsaicin, it will linger on your fingers. And if you touch your eyes or your face, it's gonna start to burn. So I'm just gonna remove all the ribs and seeds, just using a spoon to just kind of get all that out. And I'm gonna put it into my trash bag. I'm gonna do that to the other side as well. If you like a lot of heat, you can leave some of the ribs and seeds behind. I'm gonna go ahead and remove it all because there will be some heat left. And then what you're gonna do is you're just gonna take this and cut each side into thin strips, like so. And then you see I've lined all my strips up. And now I'm just gonna go ahead and give these a good fine mince. You don't want really large chunks of jalapeno. This should be a smaller little bite-sized piece. Like so, and I'm just gonna do that to the other half of my jalapeno as well. My rice has come to a boil and I have turned the heat down to a low. I'm gonna go ahead and cover this with my lid. If I can get my lid on. Oh, why doesn't my lid want to fit? There we go. With a tight fitting lid, and you're gonna not open this lid for at least 15 minutes. So I'm just gonna kind of, because I have an electric stove, pick it up a second, because if you have an electric stove like I do, it takes a minute for the heat to go away. So this is just gonna stay covered for about 15 to 18 minutes on low heat. For your cilantro, you're gonna go ahead and just pick all these leaves off. You don't want that really thick stem. So you see I'm just picking off the leaves. And we're actually not gonna chop up the cilantro with our knife. And the cilantro is just gonna be used for garnish. We're just gonna kind of tear it. So you see I'm just kind of like tearing this up, because the heat of the dish, once we pour it on as a garnish, is gonna kind of wilt it some. So there we go. I just did a nice little light tearing. Then we're gonna set this off to the side and use it. So I've drained my corn and I've put it onto a paper towel lined plate, and I'm just gonna go ahead and dry it with an additional paper towel. I'm gonna pat it dry. And the reason we're doing this is we don't want any moisture. We want to try and char the corn. So in my pan, I've got it over kind of a medium-high heat. I'm going to add some oil. And then we're going to add all of our corn. And I will say that you should have a lid handy that fits, because your corn can tend to start popping like popcorn. And so you may want a lid. I'm going to give this a good stir. You can see some of the corn is already starting to like kind of bounce around. Well, I just spoke a little bit, but some of it was already starting to pop a little bit. See, that one just popped out of the can. So all I'm going to do is I am going to cover this with a lid. You can see them popping in there. And stir it every so often. So we're trying to char the corn. This is for our esquites. Esquites are a popular Mexican street food. It's mixed with mayo and lime juice and sometimes cheese and chili powder. When it's served on a whole corn on the cob, it's called elotes. So this is our corn esquites. So as you can see, my corn is starting to char, and I've got my lid, also known as my shield, and I'm going to give this a stir and let it cook a few more minutes on the other side. As you see, it's still popping away. So my corn is looking done, so I am just going to go ahead and transfer it. You can see it got nice and charred in some areas. I'm going to go ahead and transfer this just to a bowl. And then you can just wipe this pan down. There is no need to wash it. You can just give it a little wipe, and we're going to cook our pork in this. Into my pan that I've just wiped down, I'm going to add a drizzle of oil. And then we're going to add the entire contents of our pork. If you do not eat pork, please feel free to substitute with ground beef, ground chicken, ground turkey, whatever you would like. And we're going to add the entire contents of our Southwest Spice Blend. This has garlic, cumin, and chili powder. And then just our plain chili powder, we're only going to add half of that. You can eyeball it. And then we're just going to go ahead and start to kind of break this meat up into the oil and get all the seasoning. And we're going to add a little bit of salt. Kind of keep breaking it up. And you see how I'm kind of like folding it in over onto itself while I'm just trying to mix in all those spices. And then I'm just using the side of my spoon to kind of break it all up. And we're just going to let this cook for 3 to 5 minutes until it is fully cooked. While my pork is cooking, I'm going to make my esquites. And so I'm going to go ahead and add some salt and some pepper to my charred corn. And then I'm going to go ahead and add half of my Monterey Jack cheese. Traditionally, it's served with cotija cheese, which is kind of like a salty, crumbly cheese. I'm going to add my mayonnaise, which I know sounds weird. But esquites is so good. And then I'm going to add the rest of my chili powder. And the juice from half of the lime. Make sure you don't get any seeds. I don't see any seeds in here, so I'm good. And then you're going to add as much jalapeno as you like. So if you want to add the whole jalapeno, go ahead. I'm going to add the whole jalapeno. Live dangerously. And then you're just going to give this all a real good stir to combine. And you can taste it after it's all combined and see if it needs more salt, more pepper, more lime juice. Or if you didn't add all the jalapeno right at once, you know, maybe some more jalapeno. But so that is your esquites. Now that my pork has finished browning, you'll see it's all nice and cooked, and I've kind of crumbled it all up. We're going to go ahead and add our beef stock concentrate and a 1/4 cup of water. And just give this a good stir. And just let this cook for a minute or so until the stock concentrate and water start to just thicken up and reduce a little bit. I've removed my pork from the heat. I'm just going to add a little bit of salt and pepper. And then it's basically time to assemble your bowls. Just let me give that a good stir. So my rice is nice and done, and you're just going to fluff it with a fork. You see I'm just kind of scraping with my fork just to kind of fluff it up. And so to serve this, you're going to take your rice and some of your pork and your esquites. You have some cilantro to garnish, a little bit of Monterey Jack cheese still, your lime, and some sour cream. If you save some jalapeno, not in the esquites, you can also go ahead and sprinkle some of that on as well. As always, I look forward to your presentation.